Welcome to episode 2 of Knife Skills. Today we're learning 2 ways to cut onion and 3 ways to cut garlic. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Mina, culinary school grad, former professional cook, bringing you a knife skill episode today. I would say this is probably the most practical episode of the knife skill episodes. I mean, onions and garlic, it doesn't get any more basic, any more common and practical than that. Onions and garlic. All right, so grab your knife, cutting board, and let's go. Of course, like I always say, wet paper towel underneath your cutting board. This will prevent it from moving around. We're gonna start with the most common way an onion is usually used, which is a dice. So we're gonna use the claw technique. If you don't know what that is, refer to the first episode of this, which will really help you. And then we're gonna take the top of the onion off. We're gonna leave the root on, and we'll see why later on. So after you do that, we're gonna cut the onion in half. Don't peel it. Cut it in half first and then peel it. This will make it much easier to peel. So peel the first 1 or 2 layers depending on how thick the skin is. Pretty much keep peeling the skin until you get a nice even white layer all around. No brown skin parts. And I know in my last video I said I don't typically put my index finger on the spine, but this is one of the only times I will do it since I'm cutting sideways. So we're gonna start by making some horizontal cuts in the onion. And if you're new at this, I suggest only making like 3 to 4 cuts. That should really be enough for you to get a feel for this and see how to do it. So the more evenly spaced out the cuts are, the more of an even dice you're going to get. So now we're gonna turn the onion around and basically do the same exact thing, but with vertical cuts. And here it's really important to do the claw technique, hold your knife the right way, put your pinky and thumb in the back. And I showed all this in the first episode of this series. So if you didn't watch it, I suggest you go watch it to know how to hold this knife properly. You might notice here that the onions are kind of starting to break apart, but if we didn't have the root on, they would fall apart all over the place. So as you can see, it actually stayed together for the most part, and that's because we kept the root on. So it has one center point where everything is still connected. And finally, we're gonna turn the onion so the root is on the left, and then we're just gonna chop. And this last chop will give you your dice. So we made the horizontal cuts, we made the vertical cuts, and then the last one, we're just gonna chop it to get our dice. So remember that the more evenly that you make all your cuts throughout, the more evenly your dice will come out. And when you're left with the root here at the end, you can actually repeat the same process again, which making horizontal cuts, then making vertical cuts, and then chopping it again to get more out of the onion. Obviously, this isn't necessary. You could throw it away, but if you really want to get every bit of the onion out of it, that's how you do it. And as you'll see, we practically have 0 waste here. We've used all of the onion except for that one bit of the root and its skin. The second way we're gonna do onions today is onion slices. So to slice an onion, we're gonna actually take the root off. We don't need the root to be on here. And I did not do such a hot job making a straight cut here. It was all crooked. But you're gonna peel it. This is gonna be so much easier to peel this way too, since it's cut in half and it doesn't have the root or the head on. So obviously onions are round, so you can't make straight cuts all across the onion. You're gonna need to angle your knife in the beginning, and then you're gonna straighten it out as you go along. Here's how. So we're gonna hold our knife just like we usually do. If you don't know how, again, go check the first video. We have the claw technique going on here, and we're just gonna slice down. So notice how the blade is angled to the left a little bit to accommodate for the curve of the onion. And then I'm gonna start to straighten out the knife again. So here it's pretty straight down. So once you get to the end of the onion and it gets kind of dangerous, you just flip it to the right and then you treat it like a whole new onion. So you start again at an angle and you keep going straight and the whole onion is cut. Beautiful slices every time. Next up is the garlic. So if you buy pre-peeled garlic, which there's nothing wrong with, go ahead and skip this part, but I like to split it in half first by my hand, and then I'm gonna grab my knife and cut the root off of every half. So I'll just take that one half and just cut all the roots off of that whole half. And it should look just like this without roots. Next, you're gonna get a jar or just some kind of container that you can close, put all your garlic cloves in there and just keep shaking. And I mean really, really shake. No, really, like keep shaking that thing. And then eventually, once you dump them out, you're gonna have a much easier time separating the skin from all of the garlic. You're gonna have just a few left over, usually the smaller ones, but the peel should come right off of those. First thing we're gonna do is how not to cut garlic. So this is how not to cut garlic. You may have seen this a lot where people just smash the garlic clove down like that. And I rarely ever do this. I do this only on occasion if I wanna leave the garlic clove whole, but rarely, and I'll show you why. A lot of that garlic flavor that's inside comes from the oil that's in the garlic. And when you smash it like that on the cutting board, you release a lot of that oil. And you can just see it here. There's a wet spot and you can see it just kind of oozing out of the garlic. So you're losing flavor. You're putting all that flavor into the cutting board. And even worse is when you see people do this move and they just smash the garlic and keep cutting it and keep smashing it, and then they make this little paste onto the cutting board, which is good if you want a garlic paste, but most of it is going to be gone onto the cutting board. So I'll show you how to get a very flavorful paste later on. So how do you mince garlic the proper way? It's actually pretty much the same steps as an onion dice. You're just essentially making a very tiny dice on the garlic. So same exact steps. I'm going to put my thumb on top though, because it's really small and I don't want to cut my fingers. And then we're going to make horizontal cuts in the garlic. I'm going very slow here to show you how to do it. And then we're going to turn it around. Same exact steps as the onion dice. Vertical cuts next. Again, go slow. Take your time. You're not in a race. You're just enjoying cooking. And notice that I'm using my small paring knife to do this. While I can use my chef's knife to do it, it's just a little easier to use the paring knife since it's a very small clove of garlic. And once you're done, it should look like it's about to give you a small dice. So it's sectioned into little small sections just like this. Now I'm gonna grab my chef's knife and using the claw technique, of course, I'm gonna use a rocking motion on the knife. Notice how the front of the knife is pretty much on the cutting board the whole time. I'm just rocking back and forth with the back to the middle of the knife. That's how you get a beautifully small garlic mince that's still flavorful because we didn't destroy the skin, we didn't smash it all over the place. And I'm sure there's a million other ways out there to mince your garlic, but this is the way that I was taught to do it. This is the way that I've been doing it for years, and I'll probably continue to do it this way. And here is just another angle of how to hold the garlic clove while using the claw hand. Notice my fingertips are out of the way at all times. Remember the knuckle against the knife from the first episode? That's going on here at all times. Fingers are safe. If I could only choose one way to cut my garlic, it would be this way, making a garlic paste. So I use my zester or the microplane. I do have a link in the description for this one, but really anyone will do, anyone that you can buy. But you should have one of these in your kitchen regardless. This is a great way to use garlic, especially if you're using it raw, because it can be very strong if you leave it in chunks when it's raw. But this way it's going to make a very smooth paste. It's going to be much more mild than if you were even to do a very small mince. I think this is the better way. I also like to use this in marinades and just a bunch of other sauces. Here's a quick tip. This is great if you want to make a garlic mayo. And at the end, all that we're left with is just a skin of the garlic clove, and if you had it on, the root of the garlic will be there. Great. Oh, one last tip about these. If you've never used them before, most of the garlic will be on the bottom of it. So you'll actually have to give it a few smacks to get it off. Last thing on the list today is garlic slices. So this is a great option if you're going to use it on pasta and you just want to show off the garlic a little bit, or you're going to make some garlic chips or something like that. So there's two ways that I like to do this. The first way is using a mandolin. If you don't have one, this is a great kitchen tool as well, but it is very dangerous, like very, very dangerous. So if you do happen to buy one, please use the hand guard that comes with it. But it does give you very even, great slices. And this doesn't just work on garlic. It would work on any kind of a vegetable. It would work on an onion, on a cucumber, or one of my favorite things, using it for potatoes to make potato chips out of. The other option, of course, is that you can use your knife. It's just a little bit harder to get those even slices every time out of a knife. But this is a perfect chance to practice if you do want to improve your knife skills. Also take note here, I'm not going too fast, I'm sliding backwards with the knife. This allows me to get a more precise slice every time. So between the knife and the mandolin, they both gave us pretty much the same exact result, but the mandolin was quicker and much more consistent. It's deceptively simple to get even slices with a knife out of a garlic clove. I think that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Hit the thumbs up and all that good stuff, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. They say it really helps. I don't know. Does it? I'm not even sure. Next video will for sure be the pizza one. I promise it will be the pizza. It's here. It's ready. I just need to film it, and I'm going to film it sometime this week and edit it, and it's going to be the next video after you see this one. And I'll see you in the pizza video. Peace.